All right, my dogs. It is 6:33. I'm sorry I'm late. It's been a morning. Just got a lot going on. It is April 30th. What do we have? 2 days left. 2 days. Is it 2 days left of the month? Hopefully everyone's doing well. Got a big time move off of those um, April lows. We went from a little bit of a V to a W with a higher low. We've had lots of dips to buy. You've had a lot of participation, and here we are as we're still no ink deals, and we're starting to go through earnings season where either companies are coming out with decent numbers and they have no visibility because of tariffs, or or they're talking about complicated quarters ahead, and we're at the spot where it feels like nobody really wants to get caught short just in case there's a deal announced, but it's kind of hard to be long here after the size of the move. So what does that mean? It means maybe do a little less, have less positions, less size, and keep your money. Isn't that a good idea? Keep your money. So with that being said, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Lab.com. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. And here we are. So if you take a look here, you had your low in April, came up to resistance, put in a higher low about a week ago, and then we've been pretty much, grinding higher. Lots of things to do. Some leaders are leading, some names are acting special, some names are just coming off lows, and we're trying to figure it out. I feel like a lot of guys have done really well the past few weeks, not just because we're going up, just because the way things are trading, it's been very methodical. We've been watching relative strength. There's been areas to buy through, areas that hold, and we'll see what happens today. You go to the SPYs are only down $1.50, 552-ish. If you look over here, yesterday's low is 548.55. If you look like here to start the week, on Monday you had weakness. Actually, but it did a trade around. It held this 543, and we made a new high. Here's your 200-day, and there's your 100-day. We're coming into some big areas that, we're not out of the woods, and we're not in a spot where all of a sudden the economy is going to roar back, because that's just not going to happen. We're still going to have tariffs of some sort on. There's still a lot of damage from country to country, and I feel like some supply chains are a little disrupted and whatever. Anyway, that's it's the fundamental Red Dog. Right now it's earnings week, and you have a bunch of things that are lower. So right now the semis are down. Why are the semis down? Because SMCI is down 5. So it's not that important. It's a $30 stock now. It's not like it was a year or two ago when you had that short squeeze and it was going nuts. But it has NVIDIA down. So I think NVIDIA will be important today. It's down 2. 106.81. So let's put a chart up in the video of what needs to hold. Otherwise, sellers could kind of take over here. So this is 105-ish. So I would say NVIDIA's got to hold this 105. If it does and goes green, that would go a long way for the semis. If they isolate this to SMCI, I don't know if they will, but if this were to break this inside range, I would think that the semis get hurt, and and then you don't see the dip board in the semis or tech. So I would watch it close. Said only at 106.81, and that would be a big, that would be big if NVIDIA can go red to green. We'll see. Some guys actually bought this CRWV yesterday. Let me put that up. That's that new issue that acted well. Still trying to build a chart here. It's trying to give you levels to trade against and whatnot. So if you are long this, you could be long verse. 40 sometimes new names, start to act better. They have a little less memories. If you remember this move after the just revisiting the IPO, out of the first day. Remember when it got above this? Wow, what a move! And now it's right back into this area. So it's under a little accumulation. Just again, new names tend to have lockups, and there are people still involved. So if you're in this one, I would put your stop in right here around 40, or you can even say 39. Anyway, so that's that. Some guys were talking about it yesterday. They wanted me to put it up, but I really think what's really important today for the semis, and for tech would be, does NVIDIA hold this 105 and change? So then you have Snap. Snap now is lower for the 10th time in 11 quarters. Red Dog didn't play, thank goodness. Not say I've learned my lesson, but I try. Well, look at the move Snap had prior. It loves to do that. It loves to have a move, get everyone a little excited that maybe they figured it out because their kids are on Snapchat, and then boom, it gets crushed. So anyway, this is Snap right here. down, buck 27, 781. I'm not going to trade it, but just someone asked me for a level. So here's 780. So this is exactly where it kind of broke out from. If you're looking at this, usually days after earnings, it floats back up. I'm not in it, but it's affecting what people are thinking about the advertising market. So I am in Reddit. Reddit's been coming off lows. Earnings are on Thursday, which is May 1st. It looked good. I'm in a call spread for numbers on Thursday. I'm also in a little stock. So today I have to figure it out. Sometimes you got to figure it out. So it's not all sunshines and rainbow in trading. I kind of should have known that Snap was coming out, but I did. I just didn't, I still stayed with this. So I got to figure out what's a slow here. This is like 118-ish. This is 114-ish. So I would say if you're super active, and I'm not taking the earnings anyway, I'm going to take my call spread. What I might do is I might buy back the short side of the call spread and then let it go. And that's how I can manage this down move and see if we get a 5-15-minute low to trade against. So that's what I would do here. I would say 114-ish needs to hold for Reddit. Bank of America was positive on Meta, so that will be interesting. Meta looks kind of like Snap. They've both been battered and bruised, not Snap. Reddit. I put on a call spread for Meta too. I played this, I've made good money in this through the years. Looks like it's trying to hang in there. I would say for today, see if Meta holds this 540-ish. Where's Meta right now? Meta is down 480, 549. Not that big of a deal. Bank of America says it's 16 times earnings or this and that. It's kind of priced in from 740 down. So I guess we'll see. We'll know after the close, and that's going to also have an effect on Reddit for tomorrow. So you got to figure out what you want to do here, my dogs. So with that said, these are some of my problems, or not, or it could be, really good opportunities. Same thing with Tesla. Tesla went out really strong. Looking like it's building a nice inside range to take out 295. So today will be an important day. I made really good money in Tesla since earnings. I started buying Tesla versus 244, added to it, had a nice move. On this day, remember we sold on Monday into the 292s, was able to buy it back, was in it all day yesterday, and we'll see how it goes. Tesla, I think, is down only 369. That's not a big deal. I'll probably be buying more of this. This isn't where, I think the what's the word, where the stress is. If this thing could hold in there and then take out 295, there's some room above from where it was. Not saying it has to, but this will be something that I focus on. There's something that I'm in. That's what we do as traders. If you take positions, you got to manage them. You have to add shares. Hopefully you could buy it green, you can go push, and you can get out and you can trade around it. Sometimes it's a trap. That's it. Sometimes you open down 360, and if it went down 9, I'd have a bad day. If it opens down 4 and goes down 4.5, and then you could buy more, and then it tries to go green, you could sell that and hold, and then continues. That's acting constructive. Is it constructive or is it predatory? We don't know. Wow, I see comments building up. 31 comments already this morning. Let's see what goes on with these comments today. Hold on, let's go. Comments. Sometimes my comments are great. They bring up great opportunities. The other day on Monday, some guys like, what about HIMS specialists? I'm like, it looks good. So people were buying options, and then they friggin' killed it. Congratulations. Let's see. BABA consolidating, forming a bull flag. Yes, BABA looks pretty good. I looked at it this morning. It's up with Japan. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Tapan. Yeah, everyone's looking at BABA. Hims, did you buy the $30 calls that I said you should? Well, you did. I know that. So that's cool. Palantir. Palantir's been great. I just kind of, sold it. I need to sell something. Sometimes you just want to get out of something because to me, the market feels like it's a little temperamental. IBIT's hanging in there. That's true. I still have that on. Google, Google's just not that interesting. I put on some Google calls for this week. This was the reason why everyone was saying we were up on Friday. But meanwhile, you had to be a surgeon to make money in that call spread, which we did. And now it's trying to hold this area. So if you're thinking that Google, could be better moving forward, it stopped some people out yesterday. Now you have 157.52. Google hasn't been special for a while. It has a big buyback now, dividends, so it's turning into like a conservative, like mature company. But anyway, so if you had to be long Google, you can move this down a little bit to 157.52. See if it holds that. Yes, Palantir is doing awesome. Palantir made a lot of money for a lot of my guys. It's looks like it's on its way to 118. This high here yesterday was what, 116.46. It's above the 8-day. Nothing not to like in Palantir except for if you're thinking that we're getting close to some kind of pullback in the market, it's come a long way. What's it doing this morning? PLTR is probably down $1. Look at that, down $1. I swear I didn't look. I swear. I just, we've been doing this for a long time. Hood is an earnings play. It's true. The funny thing is this. So I took SoFi options into earnings. I took the 14s and the 15s because one of my guys loves it. So I was like, I'll be social. This is how hard. So they opened it up. So you have to know where these things came from. I bought the $14 calls for 50 cents and I sold them for 74 cents. I bought the 15s for 24 cents. I sold them for 22 cents. And if I didn't adjust in the first 20 minutes of the day, they would have been a zero and the stock was up 6%. That's how hard it is lately to make money in earnings plays. So sometimes it's just better off waiting. So we'll see what happens. Amazon is in the middle of the crosshairs of fighting it out a little bit with the administration. They were going to list how much things are going to cost with the tariffs, and the White House yelled at them, and they said they weren't going to do it, and whatever. All I know is it did hold here. This is 183.68. So if you're long it, earnings are tomorrow. Be careful. I'm not taking any kind of options into this. Just between this being such a consumer, focused, and I'm not even gonna get into the fundamentals of it, but it just seems too complicated for me right now, and I don't think there's any reason to be. Even when it's clean cut and the pattern's right, it's sometimes hard. Yes, you want me to show you BABA? Yeah, BABA's pretty tight. China's acting pretty well. Some guys along BABA versus 117 area. If that's you, congratulations. It's got some room up to 123. This spot right here is 120.67. Can it get above 120.67? So it seems like it. So maybe maybe this is worth a look today. Let's see. What's BABA doing this morning? BABA's right there. So can BABA hold and go? Maybe. China's up. A lot of people talking about this JD, and JD is just sucks. Excuse my French. I'm in some options for next Friday, so I have time for the 35s. They're cheap. They're like 50 cents. It's a little different here. Like this stock has done nothing for some reason. It's just out of play, and it's not the JD of old. So I was thinking maybe it starts to get better, especially if there's some kind of better Chinese rhetoric. But it doesn't seem like it's happening. This TIGR was better than BABA actually. Let's see. Whoops, hold on. TIGR. Look at this. This I played the other day. This is actually acting better. Has some room, but we'll see how it goes. Mr. ahead of earnings. When's Mr. earnings? Mr's been acting well. Mr's been trending with Bitcoin. Not so bad. And here we were hyper focused on it. It looks like it's got some room to 398, but we'll see. When's the earnings? May 1st. We'll see. I would think they should do well. Like if you think about it, Bitcoin itself has been lower, for the past since March, April. I know that they buy Bitcoin, right? So if they've been buying Bitcoin in March and April, and Bitcoin now is, 95,000 or so, their earnings should be good. So we'll see. This IBIT has a nice little bull flag here. We were hyper focused. If you remember, I was buying the $50 calls, the $51 calls, 2 different power plays, and guys made a lot of money. Congratulations. That was the money play, and now it's just kind of trending. And it'd be nice if this could hold up. It'd be nice if IBIT could hang in here, go sideways, and if this could see 5620, which is like 99,000 Bitcoin, Mr. could work its way up. And be honest, this GME is not even worth it. I have some options on. I'm not trading this thing again. They should come out and say, that they've been buying a lot of Bitcoin, in the low 80s, or high 70s, and show how much money they made, because I don't know if they have any other business. So people are hanging in there waiting for this to change its narrative, but we'll see. The funny thing with Microsoft, Danny, I don't think anyone's talking about Microsoft. And because Microsoft's been horrible, to be honest. Microsoft, if you look at this chart, Microsoft has done a whole lot of nothing. Microsoft was higher in February of 2024. It's been in this range where you can make money in ranges, but still. So it'll be interesting, to check the temperature of software and Azure. I have no FOMO in Microsoft, but we'll see if that's the one that kind of has a good move because nobody's looking at it. If you wanted to take a call spread, I guess you could take you could take a 395 by 405. You're not risking much. You could take a 395 by 420. Maybe it wants to go up and, test this unfilled gap if it's, better than feared. What's Microsoft doing today? Microsoft is, down 4 cents, so it's not really doing much. It's hanging around. The earnings are today, right? I don't know. I just don't want to have so much money out there. I had a really good 3 weeks, and I feel like this week I'm hovering in place, and I'm kind of like an accident waiting to happen with where this market is. Meaning, I just don't want to have one of those big down days. So again, I want to see what happens with Meta today. It'd be nice if Meta can go red to green. It'd be nice if Reddit can go red to green, and then this way I could bring down my cost. I'm also short gold. I had like one of the best calls in the world. Not the world, but the short gold last Tuesday. Get out. My friends who are gold bugs, I literally pried it out of their portfolio. My brother, my friend Pete, we bought puts, on this day before this happened, and then all you need to do is your sell rules. And now the GLD is, it's down 4. This is a tough trade. I don't know how people just trade gold for a living because it does the opposite of what it looks like it should do. It's down 1.3%. If gold could break below this 300, we get paid. I added to it. So I'm going to get paid anyway, but this is nothing. In options, you want to make double, triple, quadruple. So we'll see if you could press the GLDs through this 302. It still has that island little top that everyone was talking about. Still has that bearish engulfing day. And, I was thinking it can go to 295 or below. But chances are I'm going to make peanuts in it because I have the 300 puts, and my average cost for that is like $1.50. Anyway, Tizu. I haven't heard that name since 1999. What the hell does Tizu do these days besides 1,000 reverse mergers? Tizu. Remember that name? That was like a name from 1999. Is this a travel zoo? When you're at the market top and you see Tizu, you think top anything gold turns 280? All right, well, hopefully you make some money there. All right, we'll see. But anyway, okay, guys, it's 6:51. So we'll see what happens today. SPYs aren't down a whole lot. You've had a really, really big move. I sold some premium as a hedge, and I have some puts on as a hedge. I'm also short some SPYs, thinking that, hey, maybe it'll help. It'll help a little bit. So I'm going to cover a little bit and then see, how we play out today. The last 2 days, the weakness was absorbed. We'll see what happens today, and then we'll see what happens after the close. And if you're kind of like, feeling it, like I think a lot of people's like, hair is starting to lift because they're like, it's hard to be long here. It's hard to be short here. So bring your size down and don't give back money, my dogs. I'll see you later. I have 40 charts to do for the Alpha team. We have an open house next week, an open house. That means if you want to be on the Alpha team for a week for free and hang out with my dogs from around the world that trade for a living, and see what it's like, you should join up, especially if you find value in the 630 club and you're not a member of the Alpha team or Redler All Access. Well, you better get out of your little comfort zone and check it out. All right, see you guys later.